I would recommend academic coaching in a heartbeat. I think if you feel that you have a child who's never really seen themselves as a learner, or who doesn't seem to have strategies and approaches to learning, um, I would recommend it. You see your children begin to revise around year 9, don't you? You know, there's the SATs at the end of year 9, there's the mocks in year 10, and you begin to get a sense of whether or not your child has a handle, has a grip, has an approach, has a mindset, more importantly, to achieve their potential. I'd recommend it for any parents who feel that their child is struggling or doesn't have a growth mindset with learning. And I'd recommend it for any students that really want to just do their very, very best, no matter what their starting point is. You know, it's not about helping the 9 grades get to their 9s more easily. It's about every single child at every single point. And I think for any parents who feel that they can't necessarily understand why their child's not achieving their potential, knowing their child as they do, it's definitely something to try. I think if you've got one area that you want to improve, it's tutoring all the way. Academic coaching is about so much more than that. And for me, the biggest impact has been on Ruby's self-belief. And that's been the most important thing. So for any parents who have a child who doesn't seem to have self-belief, and for that reason doesn't seem to have a real grip on their own academic journey, this is absolutely the way to go. Just made it massively better. I think she'd always felt the weight of expectation, and there wasn't really any expectation. You know, we know the child that we raised, but because I'm in academia and because I'm in education, and because her brother is quite academic, there'd always been that barrier where she felt that she wasn't living up to this imagined expectation that we had. We know her gifts and talents, and we know where they lay. And to us, the exams were a passport, and that's what you helped her to realise, that they were a passport, they were a stepping stone, and that they were achievable. So it took all that weight off our relationship, and it meant that after each session, rather than being quite a closed book academically, she never wanted to talk about school. She never wanted to let me see her workbooks or anything that she'd done in school, because I think she felt that she wasn't living up to this imagined expectation that we had. And very soon after the sessions, she was coming to us and telling us what you discussed and what the approaches were and how she was going to handle it and what that was going to do for her. And that was really positive. And we were able to be really supportive and positive, because she was opening up. And it took the weight and the pressure off our mother-daughter relationship. And suddenly, we were a bit more of a team, really, rather than adversaries in this journey. And she recognised that, we'd put her in this coaching, and she was really grateful for that. So, it was a really positive turn in what could have been a hellish year, really. We were looking down the barrel of a really difficult time, and it just took away that element for all of us, really. Really, Ruby's had, a really successful and happy academic journey through school, but certainly never really had masses of confidence in herself as a learner. It started when she was in year 1. She had a really difficult year, and didn't really from that point on ever find her feet in terms of learning. She's got an older sibling. I don't know whether she compared herself. But certainly as we went through primary school and into secondary school, it became really clear that across the board, Ruby had not developed a growth mindset at all about learning. And we considered areas of weakness that she might have academically, but we always had the feeling that her mind and her approach to learning across the board was the biggest factor in holding her back academically, from her potential. Everyone that we spoke about was, Ruby's articulate, she's bright. In lessons, she was applying herself. Her teachers couldn't say good enough things about her, but we always felt there was a bit of a block. And it was all the way through her career academically. We got to the beginning of year 11, and it felt like she had this massive mountain in front of her to climb. And she was beginning to become really, really anxious. So we'd known about the fixed mindset, the fact that she didn't see herself as a learner. I'd battled with her. I'm a teacher. I know all of those important things that children need to believe and understand about. I can't do it yet. I'm on a journey, all of those things. And I'd really worked closely with her in terms of mindset, but it had never really made the biggest difference. And academically across the board, we felt there were just improvements that could be made. We'd looked at, like I say, the pockets of weakness, such as maths, and we knew that maths was going to be really important for her going forward. So we did talk about very briefly whether a maths tutor would would meet her need. But I recognised in her the fact that she didn't have the mindset that she needed to go forward with the exams. And at the beginning of year 11, we reached that point where it was really clear we had to do something to support her and her mindset, and to help her to break down this massive task that she had in front of her. And I'm in education, and I struggled, to help her. As a parent, they don't want to listen. So the academic tutoring that, I saw the advert, I saw the information, I saw a video that you'd made, and I just knew that that would support her holistically. It wasn't about one area or one bit of learning, it was about the need to support a learner. And that's what I felt really came across clearly as a parent. And I knew that whether, whatever the results were going to be, just having that really, really clear holistic support for her as a learner, giving her that approach to revision and the mindset that she needed would just be the most beneficial thing, really.
And what changes did you see?
Just masses of positivity, absolutely masses of positivity. It no longer felt like the world was crashing down on her. It no longer felt like she didn't have a path. And I think that was the best thing, that she felt suddenly there was a way forward. She could see the way forward. She started to adopt some of the strategies that you'd told her about almost immediately. And I felt like it was almost like she was hanging onto a life raft. She knew how to approach something that was basically drowning her to begin with. And it became her project too. Because I'm a teacher and because I teach at the school that my children go to, I'd always been involved in their journey academically in some way or another, although I'd never taught her myself. And I think she thought that she had to impress me, that she had to, sort of adhere to what I was trying to help her with. But suddenly, because it wasn't me and it was outside of me, she had her own goals and her own approaches and strategies in her own hands. And I think that gave her the independence and the confidence to say, I know what I've got to do. I know how to tackle this. And it's kind of outside of you and your expectation of me, because you were the one that she was communicating with. And it took us out of the picture in a really positive way. And it's not that we weren't involved or we weren't cheering her on, but she very much took ownership from that moment onwards. And that's what we needed her to do. We needed her to see that this was her academic journey, and not something that she had to turn to us for at every possible occasion. So masses of positivity, a really goal focused start to year 11 was what she gained, and just that ownership of her own learning, which was absolutely what we needed from her.
What impact do you think it's made on Ruby's grades?
I mean, obviously at this point we don't know, but she had brilliant strategies for revision. So I think it will really have strengthened her strengths. And what it's done is it's given her confidence to go into her weaker areas. It's given her strategies for that. So across the board, I know she will have done better in August than she would have done. And it is across the board. And that's exactly what we needed. It wasn't about, well, you just got to get your maths, because I don't believe that's how a child should learn. It shouldn't be about, let's just set a really low bar for ourselves and aim for that. It was about, I wanted to maximise her potential across every subject so that she knew in August, when she goes on results day, she had done her very best. And yeah, I just think that, where we would have been is incomprehensible. It's very difficult to think about. There would have been things we were seriously failing. And I know, although in the session she said she was speaking to children who were aiming to improve their nines, and that wasn't ever going to be Ruby's journey. She really felt that nobody judged, and it wasn't about anybody else's journey. It was about her own journey, and everything that you provided for her was very goal focused on what she could do and where she was going. And I know at the beginning, before we started the academic coaching, that's what she was worried about, that it would be full of people who were highly aspirational and highly, highly academic. But actually, the fact that you met her where she was really, really encouraged her. So, I just know whatever happens, it will have been across the board. It will have given her that boost, really.